The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
It's winning Sunday, baby. We got a W, so we're going to talk about how we dismantled the Mountaineers and DG's excellent game. All that and more on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up here on the YouTube channel, as well as listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. While you're here, please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway, and gift it. So, on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, me and Coop's gonna dive right into the Sooners and this big win. Are we back on track? And let's talk about Dylan Gabriel's Heisman race. I mean, it doesn't sound real, but it could be possibly depending on how we perform. And we gotta talk about these coaches getting fired. It actually happened. Jimbo Fisher got fired. So let me go ahead and bring Coop into here, and we gotta talk about this. Coop, what's going on, man?
What is going on? And I just want to throw this out. It finally came in. I know that you said you got yours too, right? Where is it? Yeah, there we go. Looks awesome. And also I appreciate you about the we trust in BV. We trust. Was wearing that at the kids' t-ball game on Saturday, and everybody was like, "Oh man, look at this!" And people wanted the shirt, and I was like, "Yeah, the custom made. Sorry, I can't make it happen." But man, it's good. It's good. I feel like we everything is set. 11 a.m. BYU, 11 a.m. TCU. You go out, take care of your business. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, is just take care of business. But on that note, Coop, if you want to share the love, I do have a store. That shirt is for sale. The link is on your sleeve. So definitely make sure you let them know where they can find it, because proceeds do go and support the channel. Yeah, I got my Danny Stutsman shirt in. I think about doing a giveaway, but I kind of want to wait until we stop losing before I actually talked about doing a giveaway of his shirt, just so that we're all feeling all awkward and everything about it, because Texas fans been talking mad noise because of how things have been going, but that don't matter. What matters right now is that, as y'all can see in the banner below, we 8-2, West Virginia 6-4. We dismantled them 59-20. Sooners went out there, cooked them boys. They went out there and played the ball that both of us have talked about they should have been doing just about every game this season. Everything was clicking. We knew what the weaknesses were for this team, and we executed on it. Now, when I did my recap this morning, the one thing that I talked about it, but lightly, I think one thing that really jumped out and excited me still is just how really good we adjust and how much faster we're starting to adjust. Because that first drive, I was listening to Teddy, the Oklahoma Breakdown with Teddy and Gabe, and of course, we had PTSD the minute they drove down 8 plays and got a touchdown. I was like, shoot, here we go again. But then I was like, nah, you know what? I think we'll be fine. And sure enough, we walked out 59-20. So we got to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about, like I said, Jimbo Fisher got fired, which sent shockwaves through college football, because right behind him, Sam Pittman got fired. Then the OC at Penn State got fired. So we got a long list of stuff to cover. So, Coop, let's just first start off with this. Give me your first feeling on this W. How you feel?
I got somebody who pinged me and it was like, it's crazy. It's almost like you guys had it pretty much nailed down. And I'll fully admit, like, I think that I made the comment during one of my Ragers that, like, just because I've never been a football coach doesn't mean I can see things and have an accurate and legitimate opinion on them. And it just looks like we just started to get way too cute. And when stuff is not going well, and then you get cute and that doesn't go well, like, yeah. It's hard, right? So it's things pile up. So this game, it looks like they came out and they decided just to let the offense run. I believe that there was a very smart individual that said on the X that it's almost like Levy and the offense didn't want to really adjust as if Andrew Anthony got hurt. And I don't think that we really paid him much attention to that because he stepped out. We were such a we were so equally balanced across, so we didn't feel like it's going to be a big deal, and it did. But hey, they hate me 100%. May need to keep some of these lights on during scoring plays in the SEC night games because West Virginia, they did about this much, and it could be a lot worse. But this is a great team win. I mean, it's a great team win. Dillon Gabriel cements himself into the OU stat book forever. He is going to be the first. Was it the first one in school history? Was it Big 12 for 8 touchdowns or
first one in school history, in team history, actually.
Okay. So, I mean, that's dope. I mean, and we remember Quentin Griffin scoring 7 in the 60. Was it that one? The 60. Oh gosh, I can't remember. That was the OU Texas in 2000. But just ran them. But Dillon had
he got
himself
6. That was 6. Baker had 7 against Tech in the battle with Patrick Mahomes.
Against the Mahomes battle, yeah. But anyway, I mean, we remember those games. It doesn't look like it, but we remember those games and those performances. And I feel like this is, again, I feel like Dillon Gabriel is going to be in the Paul Thompson, Landry Jones, tier of quarterbacks to where just don't forget because we did have some Trevor Knight years. We did have the Blake Bell, Cody Thomas years. And so, but that looked great. Kip Lewis and Stutsman, they look really, really good. And I don't think that that's a knock on Kanik. I just think that Kip Lewis just has that uncoachable it. And you saw it on our defense. I mean, we're still pretty banged up in the defensive secondary. But great team win. I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it right there because I can kind of spin around and go off to so many different tangents. But he is Dillon Gabriel is he's a very good college quarterback, and that's where we need to kind of just be okay. He is not Kyler Murray. He's not Baker Mayfield. He's not Bryce Young. He's none of those guys, but he's much better than Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, shots fired. But I'll say this though, and we'll lead off with the conversation around our guy DG because, like, legit, he went out there and he showed out. He gave us a game that we've been wanting, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've been asking Levy and them to give us the opportunity to let Dillon Gabriel do his thing, and yeah, we got it. He got us 473 total yards, 8 touchdowns. So, like I said, record-setting game. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, and we'll move into defense because there's so much to talk about the defense in this game. I actually have more to talk about on defense than the offense, but the big thing is everybody's posting in the comments, first complete game, first time we've actually seen the offense just go out there and throw it. And Locked On Sooners dropped a stat on the X-Bird, and it was out of the 23 completions that Dillon Gabriel had, 18 were for a first down or a touchdown. That shows you right there. If you just let the man throw the ball, we've seen him be able to do this. We saw the drive that he did against Texas. Now, granted, that was probably, I guess you could say, perfect weather, and it seems like Levy gets a lot more nervous on the road as well as in inclement weather based upon his play call. And I asked the question as to why. Why are we acting this way with the guy that legitimately was in the Heisman race, especially after the game-winning drive against Texas? I mean, he had 100-something yards, 300 yards passing, through a game-winning he's putting up the numbers. Why are we holding him back? And so in this game, it showed that Dillon said, screw it, I'm going to do it myself. Now, he wasn't perfect. He had a couple of throws, a little area, a little outside. I think that Stogner pass, a lot of people was pissed off about that touchdown initially. And I really believe in my hearts of hearts, he thought Stogner was going to stop. And as Brian brings this up, we're going to talk about two things in this situation. Number one, we're going to talk about DG getting into that fight because that was him. The DG was one on the ground that the four dudes were surrounded because he ran up on them after Stoops got knocked down. And then the next thing we got to talk about, of course, Brian, thank you for bringing these two up, is that Jeff Lebby and that jet sweep disappeared. Like you could tell Lebby wanted to throw the jet sweep, but he realized it made no sense to throw the jet sweep, especially the way that Dylan Gabriel was cooking. So, Coop, I ask you this. How excited was you seeing that Dylan Gabriel ran over there trying to start a fight? I
like it, but Farouk did run a jet sweep and gained some decent yards off of it. Just pointing that out.
I mean, is that really a jet sweep or is that more of an end around?
Yeah.
And I say that because he didn't throw it across the way. It was more of a hand, boom, and go. It was a flip forward and go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I put it like this.
Potato.
I put it like this. And we talked about it, and I've been wanting to say this for a while. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to pass it right back to you. So my apologies. But I like when we run the ball with Jalil Farouk like that when we have a freaking run game. It works then. Not as a replacement, but a supplement. It works.
Yeah.
You can't do it as a replacement. But go ahead.
No. All right. So we saw the attitude. Was it what game was it? Was it right before the Texas game? Was it the Iowa State game? When DG just decided he wanted to speak with his chest, if you will, and since then he's done great. But Dylan Gabriel looks a lot better when we have something happening on the ground, when there has to be a respect paid to on the ground. So, like Steven just said, Sawchuck's it now, right? If you see Sawchuck be held out of a game and it's not injury related, then he's probably not the person you have going forward, because I don't think that they're going to continue to put up with the junk in the running back room. He's taking the reins, and now he has a mantle to uphold. So this offense, whoever it is, Gavin Sawchuck, McCade Matire, Dylan, they follow DG's lead, and that's why when you saw Dylan Gabriel go up and do that, that's scientifically, alphabetically, ergonomically, anything with a Lee on it is the difference between a guy like a Spencer Rattler and Dylan Gabriel. Everybody wants Jackson Arnold still to play, but they're not going to boo DG and start yelling, "We want,
Arnold." Well, except for when the game's out of line, out of hand, and
yeah. But he comes in there and I love it. He went up there. I don't really think that the hit was an aggressive, hard play. And if it was Billy Bowman who laid a dude out, I would be like, you know what? Of course you guys are going to come protect. I wouldn't be mad about people protecting him, but I sure as hell wouldn't be being like, well, we wouldn't do that, because we would have been doing the same thing. So I love everybody all the way around. 12. I don't know what he did I need to probably go back and watch again and just look to see if he was antagonizing folks. But I mean, he tried to do it right. He hit him. Now, once you stand up and over somebody, we know what that means. So are we frustrated because we saw Downs do it and then not get a penalty, and we saw Canick do it and then he got a penalty? I'm not sure, but everything about that play, everything that was happened the way it was supposed to happen. And I love it. And if you've seen it on Twitter, McCade's getting escorted off the field, and him and Harris get a little dap action. And that right there,
your president
is I mean, that's some flex. So 12, I see you working. You did a great job. You hit the Stoops. Like, he is that guy on this team that everybody loves. He is the love of the walk-on, the love of the backup quarterback, the love of the star receiver. He's got all of these different things because he reminds me of when we were really, really struggling Joaquin Iglesias. Iglesias was always one of those guys who is not going to ever be remembered up there with a Mark Clayton and a Ryan Broyles, but he saved us in those times. He had the game-winning touchdown against Baylor when Baylor was still bad. And so, I mean, I like it. I like DG having the fire in his chest. I like the team coming in after him. And you know what? If I'm petitioning the Big 12, if that matters to anything, I say, listen, if you guys want McCade out for the first half, I call BS on it because this is crap. In the darkness, they drilled our quarterback and he stood up for him. And so if you are, they'll make it a player safety situation.
No, that's a fair point. And Steven, yes, he is suspended for the first half of next game. Because of his ejection, all ejections do carry over. If it's at halftime, second half, it carries into first half of the next game. If it's first half, it's just the entire game and you're good. But yeah, he's out to start the game, which is fine. It's okay. Savion Bird showed up. Caden Green showed up. Sexton, little suspect. He looked young. He looked young at right tackle. I didn't like him at right tackle. I would have preferred him at left tackle only because DG would have been able to see what was coming his direction. You got him on the blind side. It makes me nervous. Now I think he'll be fine at right tackle once JA plays. Then we'll be good. So yeah, it was scrappy. A lot of stuff happened in the dark. Luckily, some players did not get themselves in trouble because of what was happening in the dark. So, but yeah, I like the fight. I think. It's funny. Somebody asked me on the X-Bird if I thought that actually it was in the Discord too, if I think that BV is gonna punish the guys, and I'm like, yeah, Schmidt's gonna have him do an extra run, little steps, just but they like that fire. That's something that they've been trying to get out of these players over the last couple of weeks, and that's what you want to see. You want to see that type of fire, and that them playing for something, playing with a purpose, and. So I'm not mad about that. And so there's a question in here that I did want to definitely jump on here because this question has been asked a lot. Mr. John, what's good, G? Why did Levy play Bevel and not Jackson Arnold? All right. I'm going to give you my theory. There's two things on it. One, BV mentioned that they're trying to preserve his red shirt. I think that's dumb personally because I don't understand the logic behind it. If Jackson Arnold is everything he's advertised to be, he's literally here 2 years. He's not going to be here past 2. He's going to start next season, start the season after that. He's draft eligible. He should be gone in the draft. Now, if he's good but not ready for the draft, sure, we may have him a third year. But I didn't expect him here long in 3 years anyway. No reason to keep here long in 3 years. We're building up a backlog of quarterbacks. But with that being said, I get why they didn't play him. And they probably didn't want to say this, quote unquote, outright. And I'm kind of glad when I slept on it that they did not play him because of this reason. The game was getting chippy. Why would you want to put your quarterback in a situation and it's this damn chippy? You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to put Jackson Arnold out there and they go after a cheap shot, especially when you know that Levy's going to run the jackhammer play every time he puts him in the game. He wasn't going to let him throw. The time was up. No reason to run the score up on West Virginia. Just get this game over with, get out healthy, and go home in preparation for this trip to Provo in 50-degree weather, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, Provo time. So that's probably why they went ahead and said, nah, put in Bevel, kill the clock. We're done for the game anyway. So that's my theory. Coop, do you have a different theory on this? Or does that make sense?
So the whole red shirt thing, again, if you have not understood that during coach's press conferences, he is talking more to his team than he is to you, me, the media, anything like that, right? So go back and watch the game. You see Jackson Arnold on the phone talking to, I'm assuming, Levy or somebody else. He's on the phone, and then Bevel's in. I'm 99% sure, like James has said here, is why throw him out there right then, right? If that thing doesn't happen where it gets chippy, I think we're about to see Jackson Arnold. I don't think that they're going to really try that hard because, again, he is the backup quarterback. There's no mistake about it. Like, you're not rolling Bevel out there, and that's not going to happen. You have too much. You've worked too much at this point in time to do any of that. So We're not going to, if you want somebody to go in and, I even teased someone else about it. And I just said, hey, do me a favor, ask, just straight up, be like, were you guys protecting Jackson Arnold by not putting him in? Because I think that's the issue. That's the question you have to ask, not why did Davis Bevel come in? It was also senior night, and Bevel done. So there's also that piece right there, because that was the first thing that I thought. That was the first thing I thought was, hey, we're going to let him hop in here and do this. This is one last time. They run a little quarterback draw. So there you are. So I don't think that it was one specific reason. I think that just the nature of everything, they were like, between the senior night, let's roll Bevel out, and just the chippiness.
Yeah, it makes sense. And we still play TCU at the crib on next Friday. So this is the last Saturday game for the Big 12. It's the last night game of the season until if we make the next room. And the question has been already populated. And yes, Corey, we will talk about scenarios on getting into the Big 12 championship game. And can we do it? Yes, there's multiple ways for us to get in. But I'm just we'll go through all of those scenarios in a moment. But I think the most important thing to do here now is I want to talk defense. And then we're going to dive into those scenarios, and we'll talk these coaches getting fired. Coop, Danny Stutsman made his valiant return. Before we jump into Danny, make sure you wipe your feet, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and join the family if you'd like to. If you want to jump at the top of the board in the questions, feel free to do a super chat. We love it. You're never required to pay for anything to join us. The only currency you need with us is to hit that subscribe button. That helps us out with growing the channel and helps the reach for us overall. So, Stutsman makes his valiant return, guys. And our defense looked like it, right? Like the last 2 weeks, the defense wasn't bad. It felt like the offense was more so holding the defense back. But when Stutsman got in there this game, we got yet another goal line stance, which we've had one. It feels like every week this season. Like between the 20s, we are terrible as of late at some points of the game. We're terrible. And then we get past 20, we ain't letting nobody in the end zone, which I love, but at the same time, we just giving them 100 yards. But this game, we did good. 330-something yards this game. Green only got 157 passing yards and like 20-something rush yards. So we did a really good job of not letting him kick our butt like he did last year when we were out there in West Virginia. And so, Coop, who jumped out to you defensively? Because for me, I'm glad Stutsman was back. Kip Lewis was the one for me, man. And Kobe McKenzie, both of them. Because playing those young players, whoo-wee! The linebackers were my concern because of how young we are. Like the secondary is young, but the linebackers, I think, are the youngest position we have on the team. It's mainly freshmen and sophomores. Stutz is the oldest. And that play. Secondary, we've got a couple of juniors and seniors with Woody and Bowman, and then, Pearson comes in. Key Lawrence has got experience. Kanai Walker has experience. But then we're starting to see some of the young players who play, right? But linebacker, we're so young, and it seems noticeable, but they're developing into something special. Who jumped out to you in this game?
I'm going to start out up front with Dejon Terry. He changed the line of scrimmage so often, and I haven't really listened to anybody's post-game shows or pods at this point, so I'm only going to go over just again in two views. Dejon Terry was just a monster. There were so many times that he was hanging out in the backfield. The John Travolta meme from whatchamacallit, where he's like, he's looking around and I mean, there were times that he just blew it through. Again, Kip Lewis is something special. So he is what he is. I agree in here. Dolby just seems to have something about it. He just is always around everywhere, and he's phenomenal. I will say Robert Spears Jennings was my number one, though. Robert Spears Jennings seems to be a guy who took advantage of, he's got the size, which you can't he's got the size, which is something that you can't, teach. He had the injury situation with his shoulders. He got in there and he really just, this game, he really went out, went above and beyond. And then I'll probably say two guys that if you go back and watch the film, you're probably not going to see anything. You'll be like, what are you talking about? But one of them was Jacob Lacey. Jacob Lacey was basically had his guy in the backfield while people were cleaning up, and he was going crazy. And then R. Mason Thomas seemed to be chasing. He didn't catch him, but he seemed to be on Green's backside pretty often. So I don't know. I'm looking at it. It looks like there are. It looks like there's 25, 26 guys in here. But what about you, Jay? Who outside of the linebackers?
You know what? I'm one to kind of look at too. Actually, I want to give mad props to the secondary from Woody all the way around. Reggie Pearson getting that beautiful interception. Shout out to my guy. Makari Vickers gets hurt, but I'm hoping that it's not nothing serious. Doesn't look like it, but we're waiting to get the prognosis, which I think BV will probably give us a heads up on Tuesday during his presser on Tuesday. He usually lets us know what
I'm going to talk to his pops. I'm gonna
shoot
to his pops.
Pops is probably around here. So Ron, if you in this bad boy, go ahead and drop in the chat, say something, because you pull up on a regular basis. He may even rewatch it later.
He's the man.
I know he watched the video earlier.
Ron.
That's my guy. I love Ron and love the Vickers family. They've been great supporters of me, mainly because I love Seatbelt. That's my boy. I'm excited about him. And it's been good seeing him play, but I want to give shout out to the entire secondary, and this is the reason why. This is a fun stat that warmed my heart about the way that we're playing. And honestly, that gives credit to Dobie on that one blitz that he did. Credit to the defensive line putting mad pressure on Green, and in the secondary holding it their own. Actually, the entire defense did this. 9 minutes, 28 seconds, Coop. Garrett Green threw that touchdown pass, right? That's when they got their 20th point. And then they didn't, after the 20 point, went for 2-point conversion, didn't get it, right? You know what I'm talking about? That, my friend, was the last time that Garrett Green completed a pass the entire game. He literally completed his 10th pass at the 9-minute and 28-second mark of the third quarter, and he finished the game 10 for 27.
Mm-hmm.
That's an adjustment, folks. Like, if y'all got questions about this defense, I don't know how, because it's impossible to stop everything, but they literally did not let this dude complete a pass for the rest of the game. It's a combination of scaring the receivers in the drops and him getting lit up and throwing bad passes.
Yeah. And you look at the box score, and it's kind of funny because I looked, and for me, I guess there was so much that he did early. There's just so much he did early that it felt like he had a better game than he did. But then when I was watching it the second time, I was trying to figure out, because I was like, when we got that interception, I was pretty jacked. And then when Kobe dropped his, I was, but yeah. You look at the Devin Carter had 3 catches for 67 yards. Half of them came in 1 catch. And then Traylon Ray, that 49-yard catch. Outside of that, you had 81 of his 154 on two passes. So, the defense locked it down. And Kenai Walker was in there again for Gentry. And it's just, it's just really, really cool to see Kenai Walker get a little bit better. And someone that is also starting to show up, and he had that interception, is Jacoba Johnson. In the All-America game last year, of all the people that we were hoping for and all the people that were playing in that game, he was the guy that was really, locking folks down and making big plays. So we've said it before, Jay, and I brought this up to you preseason. you can't just be a guy and want to come play in the defensive backfield at OU anymore. Like, you're going to
Nope.
have to be special to come in. You cannot just hop in here, because you're starting to see, you said Jacoby with the interception, Josiah Wagner's healthy again, Makari, praying for him, but he's looking good. I love it. I mean, I absolutely love getting to talk about so many people. We didn't talk about Coe. Isaiah Coe had himself a freaking game, and I was texting back and forth with him about it. And we're trying to get him to come on for maybe Wednesday night. But I want to hear kind of the difference. Was it palpable? Is it something that you could see with Danny being back? Billy Bowman continues to just be a playmaker everywhere he's at. And he is quiet about it most of the time. He's super quiet about it. And then all of a sudden you're like, he makes a play and you're like, holy crap, that's the first time I've seen him. And he's just hurting him. He's hurting the other team. Whether it's an interception, whether it's a big hit, he licks he puts it on people. So
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
I'm happy to be ranting and rambling about the defense in a good way for once.
Right, it's not something we've been able to do for the last 2 weeks, right? Actually 3 weeks, because if you even include the UCF game, we've kind of been thrown off. But as mentioned in the comments here, man, thank y'all for these comments. We love the interaction and everything. We play so much better when the offense is rocking, the defense is rocking. When the defense is rocking, if the offense can complement what the defense is doing, we're rocking as a team. The defense seems to be consistent, and we seem to rely on them for everything. And I hate that. I hate that we put all the pressure on the defense, and at a certain point, you're not gonna be able to lean on them too much, because at a certain point, yeah, you gotta do your part. The offense needs to help the defense. Defense got to help the offense. Defense helps the offense by getting the other team off the field. The offense helps the defense by keeping the ball for as long as possible, even with tempo, keeping the ball and driving up the field and scoring. So we did that, though. Like I said, 18 of Dylan Gabriel's 23 throws were intermediate, first downs, or touchdowns. So we did that, and the defense did their part. But, man, I just love the fact that we kept Garrett Green from completing a pass for the rest of the game. 20-something minutes left in the game. We kept that dude from being able to complete a pass. That's just chef's kiss. So, all right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Let's transition into what things look like on the
Hey Jay, before you do that real quick, a couple of folks have brought up Kanik, and I want to kind of talk about.
Oh yeah. That was one I want to talk about too. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, like our offensive coordinator, when you have too many lulls that just are unexplainable, people are going to start losing their patience. And I think that Kanik, he has struggles with the eye candy situations and all the pre-shifts. And I think sometimes it's good for him to be able to step back. And I think it's great, because I think somebody said it in the chat, but he came in and he was going absolutely crazy. Like, he played out of his mind.
Played like he wanted his job back.
Yeah. And I don't know if he's ever going. I mean, guys, you remember this. Like, Andy Bass, the 25 kid, is 25 or 24? 24. 24. So yeah. He is a guy who is just a freak of a nature athlete. Like, was it Reggie Smith way back in the
yes.
Was he PC North?
No, he's from Edmond Santa Fe.
Edmond Santa Fe. Yeah. So these were just an absolute. I mean, these are absolute freak athletes, and they're just playing quarterback. And so that's the same thing that Kanik was doing in Kansas. Is he was playing quarterback, and he was just playing this middle linebacker, safety. You guys remember? Think about it when you're playing backyard football. When you were playing safety, you weren't rolling coverages and quartering out the field or anything. Playing safety meant you just kind of watched the quarterback and floated around. That's kind of what he's done. He is still trying to learn this position. He's still trying to get good at this. And so, yeah, it is an absolute, it's an absolute crime to just, you said it best last week. He looks like Stutsman did last year. And if he's going to take a jump, as great as Stutsman is, he does not have the physical tool set that Kanik has. So if he can get the mental part of it to translate and he can just react, we win. Because if you have a Stutsman back next year, we won the lottery. But if not, you need Kanik, Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, Phil Picciotti. Phil, get yourself better. He had his surgery for his ACL. Hopefully he starts to get better. But we want to see all these kids. We want to see Lewis Carter become an every down or start rotating in, because these defensive players are pretty stacked. The competitive something is strong with this team. So
yeah, the competitive depth is.
Give me your Kanik on that.
Oh yeah, so my thoughts have been, and you've heard me say this ad nauseum, is that Kanik is Stutsman last year. He's learning the position. He's learning how to be the Mike. He's learning how to be the leader of it. And to be honest, because he hasn't played linebacker, but this is his second year, year and a half, 8 months of playing a position, he doesn't have the experience of leading a defense with all the sets and stuff. But Kip Lewis does. That's what Kip did in high school. He was a linebacker. He did all of this. Same thing with Lewis Carter. And so because of that, that's why I think Kip is able to pick this up a little bit faster in comparison to what Kanik is. But Kanik played great when he got out there. He played like he wanted his position back. And to be honest, keep him working like that. Because once he gets to next season, I mean, right now, a lot of people are asking the question, is Stutsman coming back? Stutsman might come back, but there's a chance that Stutsman, if he gets a high enough grade, he's gone. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but if he gets a high enough grade, he's out. And
And to be honest, you can't look at what we've seen from Stutsman this year. You got to look at Stutsman from a step back, from a macro standpoint. If he gets a third-round draft, bye. If it's day 2, bye. Because linebackers don't – outside of freak of nature, Von Miller type outside linebackers, inside linebackers, if you're that dude, freaking Jonathan Vilma was in the second round. You need to be stellar to be early. So if he gets a day 2, he might bounce. Now, Stutsman loves this place. He loves his roommate Kanik. He is part of this. So he's also one of those guys, and he's doing well, making some money currently. So that's the thing that changes a lot of this.
Yeah, I agree. And for him, of course, if he gets a first round grade like Kenneth Murray did, like K9 did, then yeah, like I said, he's gone. But honestly, I could see him wanting to play 1 year in the SEC just to really prove himself. I'd say this: if he gets a day 2 grade, because day 1 is just the first round. If he gets a day 2 grade, I can see him come back to play in the SEC just to prove that he deserved to be day 1. I can totally see him doing that. And he probably will lead the SEC in tackles because that's just how good of a talent he is, right? Kanik is going to figure all of that out and be up there at Stutsman's level. He's faster than Stutsman. He's more agile. All he's got to do is let it click. It's got to click. And I think his click game will probably be BYU. It could be BYU or TCU. And Brian, I get you. Stuts ain't going to make NIL money the way that he can make NFL money. NFL first round money is 40-something mil. He's going to make more in the NFL than he would with NIL, because the thing about it is he'll get the NFL salary and he'll get NIL, name, image, and likeness based endorsements, right? So he's going to get both. He'll be able to double dip. I expect him to leave on the first day draft grade. Second day, I can see him coming back. But the good thing is we still got Kip, Kobe McKenzie, and Kanik still there. We still got Lewis Carter, who got a little bit of – he got 9 snaps, I think.
Yeah.
He looked good. So, all right.
Tackles, two
tackles. He had 2 tackles, 1 solo. Hey, He's going to be on it. He's going to be on it. So I'm pretty excited. So now let's go back to let's talk about scenarios, right? So we all know that the Big 12 championship game right now, Kansas is out. We would have to lose again for Kansas to be back in. Kansas is done. They're cooked because of the Texas Tech loss. And Oklahoma State is now tied with us for the next spot with Kansas State. And I think right now on the three-way tie, Kansas State has the lead if Oklahoma State's still there. If Oklahoma State's not there, we surpass Kansas State because we beat Texas. So the other way for us to get in is if Texas loses. And Texas got a tough one. I see Quentin in here. I see my boy Frightened Truth in there. What's good, gentlemen? What's good? Cover your ears. Y'all ain't gonna want to hear this. But there's a target on Texas's back next 2 weeks. I just want them to know that. Texas fans, I have some Texas fans that pull up and check out the channel. Thank y'all for pulling up. You know, I hate y'all because y'all Texas, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be, be ridiculous. I'm not a ridiculous hater. I'm a hater. I'm just not ridiculous. And y'all got a target on your back. We saw it the last 2 weeks. Kansas State, y'all had a target on your back in that game. I'm surprised. I'm glad y'all was able to pull that out, but they were trying to find a way for y'all not to pull that out. And then last week against TCU, looked a little questionable there too. So that's 2. Now the big one is coming. Iowa State ain't no slouch. Iowa State ain't no punk. Like, they're a better team than you think. Now, we blew them out, but they've gotten better and better every week. Like, they've gotten better and better like Oklahoma State's gotten every week. And they actually look like a competent passing and rushing team. Plus, John Heacock is a really good defensive coordinator. Like, that's one dude I wouldn't sleep on. We've watched him dismantle teams. I mean, heck, he did that to Lincoln Riley. What was that, in 17, 18? Came in with those upsets when Matt Campbell's first year around. Yeah, Heacock can put together a defense. His defense is similar to BV's. And he gets the most out of the talent that he's able to acquire. Let's put it that way. Hell, they had Will McDonald that was the top defensive lineman last year out of this conference. So you got them. And then you got the game that your Mark said that he was going to be in attendance and told Texas Tech to take care of business.
Don't forget, like, the Iowa State should have beat Texas last year. Hutchinson had, dropped a wide open touchdown, which would have given them, either field goal to win the game or a touchdown to win the game. It'd have been out. So they had it together last year. Here's the thing is I never want to see I never want to see a guy like Brooks get hurt on Texas. Ewers is coming back. Ewers has, we thought it was going to be Arch Manning, but now people have seen a little Malik Murphy. It wasn't great. Malik Murphy looks a lot like, Jalen Milroe a little bit last year, a little bit of up, a little bit of down. So now here it comes you're seeing bad situations around Oklahoma and Texas, and they don't want it. They do not want, the Big 12 does not want either of these teams to get there. It looks bad for them, and it's bad PR. For us, for Oklahoma, go beat BYU at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, and then go beat TCU at 11 o'clock next Saturday morning. Yep. You do those 2 things, you have a 10-win season. It does not matter what bowl game because it's not what we're wanting, but I would just do that. And if we get a date for December 2nd, I'm in. I'm in for it. But you can't, if you're Oklahoma players, all whatever, you can't say you can't be scoreboard watching. You just got to go take care of your business, because if you lose one, it's all the way gone. There's no
exactly. Right. And Jonathan, I understand what you're trying to say, but that's not how it works. And so the Crimson and Cream Machine team, shout out to the people out there that built this. They actually have a site where you can put in for different scenarios. And let me pull up the link now. They've created it. and this is a football tracker that they created. And so I put in here, if Texas loses, Kansas State wins out, Oklahoma State wins out. If Texas loses one more game, we go in against Oklahoma State. And it's based, if we win out, and it's based upon us having the best win in conference. With everybody has the same record, they don't go head to head. They go off, especially if it's multiple teams that didn't play head to head, they go off the highest rated win. We have the highest rated win. We beat Texas. So we get in. Texas loss is all we need. If Texas loses and we win out, we're in. Period. We automatically get it because of where Texas is at. So shout out to Texas for losing. We appreciate y'all. But if Texas does win out, we need Oklahoma State to lose. If Texas wins out, Oklahoma State loses, we're in because we have the Texas win. So basically everything hinges on us winning out and Oklahoma State losing. The easiest is Texas losing one or Oklahoma State losing. That's our easiest routes in. Common opponent only comes into play if actually it does come into play because we beat Texas, Kansas State didn't. So that's why we passed Kansas State. That's the reason why. If Texas and Oklahoma State both lose, it goes off the highest rated on that one. So the three-way common, it goes to the highest and we go up to the top. But if Texas and Oklahoma State loses, let me pull this up real quick. I'm going to look at it right now. I'm going to say Oklahoma State loses to Houston, and I'll say Texas gets beat by Iowa State because they got cheated out of that game. Kansas State, Oklahoma will play in the championship, play in that game.
Yeah, I agree. You went out, and that's what you got. Now, is there going to be a frustration? And is there frustration that if we went out and nobody helps us out, we get left out of the game? Sure, but guess what? You got to look at yourself. Like it's between penalties, bad play calling, bad execution by players. I'm not going to throw the refs in. If you say that the refs are the reason why we lost either of those games, it's not. It's not. It's it's just. I mean, we're just not going to see that. But here, you gotta have an opportunity to. You got to give yourself the opportunity. So you go out and you win these games, and you win them convincingly. Listen, the Big 12 cannot handle anything. If it ends up, with one of us or both of us, Texas and Oklahoma in, now what? I mean, penalties. Do you try to tank the bowl game for one of them? Right. So it's you got to get there because it is an absolute an absolute act of It's just an absolute, big screw you to the conference if you just win and you go do that. So just do that.
Right.
We get that. It's good.
Right. Now drop the link here if y'all want to check it out and play around with it. This is from the Crimson and Cream Machine. They dropped this link on how to do someone Imred's Big 12 standing generator, and he has the rules in there. If it's a three-way tie, frightening, that's where all the weird starts to come into play. It's weird. It's really weird. So for us, yeah, we need Texas. If Texas loses, we're good. Just because we'll all be 7-2. If Oklahoma State doesn't lose, though, let's see if Oklahoma State doesn't lose. What it look like with all four of us? So it looks like if OSU doesn't lose and we're all tied at 7-2, 4 at the top, they have Kansas State and Oklahoma going because of their winning percentage against the number 5 teams all played one time, which is Iowa State, West Virginia, underneath the 4 teams. It's weird, man. Like the whole rules that the Big 12, like there's a link in that as well that takes you to the actual written rules. Is weird. It's weird. Yeah. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there's not like the logic behind it is kind of gone. And I'm kind of understanding why the Big 12 is in shambles. So all about that. Overall, it's all about us just going 10-2, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it feels like, chicken. It feels like you're just going to play rock, paper, scissors and pick somebody, right?
It's, yeah. And you know what? There's no USC happening. USC's got at least one more loss in them. We're not playing. If we play USC, some stuff has gone sideways the last 2 games of the season. So it's Caleb Williams is not going to play. You're basically kicking a soaking wet homeless person underneath a bridge if we played USC at this point. But also speaking of absolutely just pointless and hopeless, if we played Penn State's offense, I think we might ball out.
Hey man,
we might ball out.
Good God, Pence, man. Look, all right, let's talk about some firings in the game. So thank y'all for pulling up as usual. Wipe your feet, hit the like button if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I want to talk about some of these coaches because this kind of affects us in a way, right? Who is it? Yeah, frightening. I saw you went through. You started looking through all of it, and you're just like, oh, wait a minute, this is some weird stuff. Told you, dog. All of it's weird, man. It's all over the place. I hate looking at that. It's wild. But anyway, y'all saw Jimbo Fisher got fired? Cool. Like, that just amazes me that they actually decided to stomach $76 million in buyout money that's 100% guaranteed. They got to pay him like 30% up front, and the rest of it's going to be paid out through like 2031. And I don't think there's a provision in there that he has to get another job. Like, I haven't seen anything on that. So, what's interesting to me about that is this. The fact that he got fired, and then Sam Pittman right behind him gets fired. Boise State's head coach gets fired. Penn State fires their offensive coordinator because their offense was that horrible. I got to ask you this, Coop. Who you think Texas A&M goes after for this job? Now, I've seen people asking this about Lincoln Riley, which is hilarious because I actually had I've seen a couple of USC fans now, or actually it was on a message board. They done posted that they coach not even desirable anymore. Did we actually win this decision of taking Lincoln Riley?
Yeah. Yeah, so oh gosh, his name slips my head. The fella from Duke.
Mike
Elko. I think he is your first and second choice.
Probably your third too.
I don't think that they're going to do Deion Sanders, Lincoln Riley, anything like that. I don't think that it's A&M, so watch out for an Urban Meyer situation. That's who I would say. I would say Elko, Urban, potentially a Whittingham. They may go after him, but they want flash. They want spectacular. The politics down in the politics down there in that part of the state are nutty, and what they'll do. Lane Kiffin was one that I saw mixed up in there. I don't know if that's a better situation for Lane Kiffin because now he wins 10 games. He's really, really, really good. Man, I don't see the Dan Lanning stuff. I don't see why you would go from Oregon to A&M and you're already, yeah, I just don't. And now when this happens, the negative recruiting around it is going to be 10 times because it's going to be, this is what we told you guys was going to happen. We told you guys this was going to happen. And, do you want it to happen again while you're still on campus in another 3 years? Because Sumlin outproduced Jimbo Fisher. And Sumlin is seen as one of the worst hires in A&M history. Remember, this is a program that, like Oklahoma State, thinks that they have been something big in college football. Texas A&M is not something big in college football. It is not. It is dumb. It is absolutely dumb that they expect that much winning, because most of the time when you have expectations for winning, you have a history of winning. A&M doesn't.
No, you're right. So I got two people for you. I want you to tell me what you think. These aren't going to be names that now, one of them is a name that I've seen mentioned before. And because of what they're doing this year, it would be you pick up the phone and you make this phone call. Like, so Elko's my number one as well, right? It makes the most sense. He's defensive coordinator there for 4 years under Jimbo Fisher, and he's beloved. Also, he'll most likely retain majority of that defensive staff, which means most of those recruits ain't going nowhere. Their problem has always been offense. It ain't been defense, but he'll make sure they have a stout defense, bringing a nice OC. But let me ask you about these two names. Kalen DeBoer, Washington's coach. Yeah. He's a big up and coming name right now because of what he's doing with Michael Penix and everything at the Huskies. But here's one for you, because I love that people have said this name, Dan Lanning. He ain't leaving Oregon for that job. Dan Lanning is literally set to take Georgia or Alabama the moment one of them retire. Here's a name for you, Brian Hartline, offensive coordinator and the wide receiver guru at Ohio State. I have not seen very many people say his name. What do you think about one of those two getting this job?
I don't like the Hartline piece because we know that he is a stud when it comes to receivers. But if you're a program, you have Ohio State, who has has like a PlayStation level wide receiver talent and still hasn't done anything. How many 5-star first round wide receivers have they had come through there? It's just like us with the quarterbacks. They haven't won. And so I don't know if anybody's going to be ready to give the keys over to that, because A&M can say, like, do we need them? We're getting 5-star receivers right now. I like that the Washington situation, because I would rather coach. If I'm DeBoer, I'd rather coach in the South, stay in the South, be in the South, than have anything to do with the state of Washington and have anything to do with the Big Ten. Anything to do with that. Because I tell you what, I would much rather go to Starkville than at any point in the year than go to Maryland or Rutgers in late November.
That's a funny name. That is fascinating. Gundy to A&M. Boy. Jimmy Sexton would make him rich, for one, because just keep this in mind. Jimmy Sexton is the agent that basically owns the SEC. If a coach gets hired in the SEC, Jimmy Sexton's got him. That would be an interesting hire. And I could see it happening after what he's done this season, making whatever it is into lemonades. I don't see them doing this one, Quentin. And I only say that because that's not a big enough splash hire. No. Your splash hires are going to be, Hartline would be a splash hire because of what he's done. His name's just been in the headlines for so long. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks he's going to get the Ohio State job whenever Ryan Day either gets fired or leaves. I think DeBoer right now, because he's a very hot name right now in the game, I don't see A&M getting a G5 up-and-comer. They won't get the Texas UTSA coach, Jeff Traylor. They won't hire him either. I can see Elko, because Elko came from there. Somebody mentioned, actually in this article I'm looking at right now, Good Bull Hunting, they said Dan Campbell from the Lions. Now, that's a funny pipe dream, but remember, Dan Campbell is an Aggie. So it's not absurd, but it's absurd, right? Last one. I don't think Sherron Moore is going to take that job either. I think Sherron Moore is getting the Michigan job. Once Jim Harbaugh gets fired for all of this cheating, they're going to find a way to keep Sherron Moore on staff. Yeah. You don't lose that type of talent. So I don't see him getting the job either. Now, it's funny, Quentin. Who did Quentin say? Let me see.
Quentin said Willie Fritz at one point. Ed Orgeron. I like the Sean Lewis from the OC up at Colorado.
I don't see Sean Lewis ain't getting that job. He just got demoted at Colorado. He ain't getting that job. Like Prime, they wouldn't hire Prime either.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's too much for them. Even for them, which is weird to me. That would be a great
Bob
hire.
Stoops. Quentin said Bob Stoops.
Oh my God, that's a good one. Stoops ain't coming back for that. Too much work. Give me. I'm trying to think. Ogeron. That would be hilarious. But I'm hearing all the USC fans want Ogeron to be at USC as their defensive coordinator. That wouldn't happen either. Lanning's not leaving Oregon for that job. Phil Knight's got too much money.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't chase that job for money because you ain't winning at A&M. That's been proven. You're not. At all. Now this one, Matt Campbell, Lance Leipold, or Leipold, Campbell, and who's the other Big 12 coach? Oh yeah, Chris Kleiman. Now I don't think Kleiman would leave because Kleiman is he's a K-State guy. Matt Campbell wouldn't be a splash hire, but he would take that job. Because at a certain point, he has to recognize that there is a ceiling at what he's going to do at Iowa State.
And they have hit
He's kind of seen it now. Right? Am I wrong?
Johnny Manziel. Jamar Toombs and Johnny Manziel come back.
That'll be good. No, truth, you're right. They have all the resources, but that's the problem. The administration makes very poor decisions. So what makes you think they're going to make a good decision? Like, we're being logical here, right? Like, everything we're saying is out of logic. They have never done anything logical. Dog, they wooed Jimbo Fisher over there after all the crap that was going on in Florida State.
Buckets of chicken, all that stuff was right in the middle of the craziness.
Crab
legs.
Crab legs. He literally took the job to get away from all the mess he did there at Florida State.
Yeah.
And he took the money. He wasn't going there to win. He walked in there running an old system that was getting him abused. He had one good year. That was in 2024. Well, 2020, I'm sorry. 2020 is when he had a good year. And he made no sense to hire Jimbo Fisher at all. And look at him now. He literally looked like someone. And that's why I tell everybody, man, they're not going to be any good.
Steven says something that I think would be right. I mean, would be an absolute burn the entire establishment down situation. Dabo Swinney at A&M. I mean, it would be amazing. It would be like the in Game of Thrones when the religious sect comes over and starts trying to take over, and they're just holding everybody under their thumb. Like, it would be psychotic. But no, I don't see any of this happening. Any of this with intelligence. Mac Brown, I could even argue with that. I mean, I truly do see they're going to be throwing a bunch of money. They're going to be throwing names. I think that the misdirection on this job is going to be greater. They have somebody in mind. That's why they pull the trigger now. They have somebody in mind.
Right. And frightening, you're right. I mean, that's a good point. 15 mil. He would definitely get a $100 million contract. You're not wrong there. You're logically, I would totally get it, but I don't think that Dan Lanning would be dumb enough to take that job. Like, there's nothing smart about taking the Texas A&M job with that administration. Like, Lanning right now he probably has a blank check opportunity there, especially when they go to the Big Ten. Think about it this way. They go to the Big Ten, they're going to get all that extra money. Phil Knight's going to continue to pour money into that program. They're probably going to find a way to pay that dude. They're going to give him a raise at the end of the season. They've only lost one game. He's going to get a raise. You see what I'm saying? No. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's kind of what I'm thinking, is that I don't think that he'd be dumb enough to take it. Because I don't think he's chasing money. He's too young. If he was Jimbo Fisher's age, I'd say Dan Lanning would take the job. I would totally agree with you. Because then at that point, that's retirement money. Man, take the money and bounce. But he's too young. For him, if he sticks it out long enough, Alabama's his job. They'll hire him. I think they would hire him. I think Georgia would hire him if Kirby, but Kirby Smart's too young too. But I think he's got Bama in the bag if he wanted it outside of Dabo Fisher. I'm Dabo Sweeney. Oh, I call him Fisher. I don't know why I called him Fisher. That's funny. But
Jimbo.
yeah, I don't see anything good going there. Gruden.
Joe Biden.
Come on, Corey Biden. No, we're out of that.
Hey, what about something silly? I know I'm going to say something that everybody's going to be like, there's no way in hell, but it seems like a very A&M thing to do. A&M takes a coach who's legitimately on the hot seat leading into the season and gives him a ridiculous amount of money because they're having a good season. Eli Drinkwitz.
Dog, I was thinking about Drink. I legit was thinking Drink.
I mean, it would be very A&M. It would be very
A&M. That sounds like something A&M would do. Go poach another SEC coach locally. Yeah.
Neil Brown too. Yeah.
Neil Brown.
That's
another name.
Yeah, even as I was thinking. So I mean,
but I think if anything, it's got to be Splash. So everybody's talking Urban Meyer. He's the face that's flying everywhere. The scandals that would happen there would be just ridiculous. Now, who is this? Yeah, Jed Fish from Arizona sounds good. The name's not big enough. Like, that to me is the key thing about this entire exercise is what's a big enough splash hire in college football to make them. Mike Norvell's been on the list on the list I've seen. I don't think Norvell leaves Florida State to go there though. That wouldn't make any sense. Neither would Cristobal.
Look at Art Briles.
Now, A&M. There we go.
A&M would be the only place that would ever happen. A&M.
Yes.
I don't think Mark Stoops. I don't think that's their Phil Collins. Fish. I don't think big enough. I think Harbaugh gets fired at A&M or at Michigan, and then A&M comes after him. Come on.
Well, I can see A&M going after Harbs. Now, this one someone told me. I got a text about this, and I said, "Hey, man, that might make some sense." Chip Kelly, that would be a huge pickup. Could you imagine that? Chip Kelly down there recruiting at A&M? He's cultish.
Quarterback. Yeah.
He's cultish.
You have a quarterback that you could have transfer in with you too.
Right. You immediately got to start quarterback, and your offense will look a hell of a lot better than it does now. All you got to do is find a way to retain the entire defensive staff and keep all the defensive players there. That would be an interesting one. I like that, Monty. That's a good one. I don't think Samples is ready for a head coaching job. Not big enough name. Man, that is a wet dream of all of ours. That ain't happening. Now, granted, Arkansas is available. Who gonna get the Arkansas job? Let's talk about the Arkansas job right now. Chip there is, yes, exactly. And Steven, I'm gonna tell you this now. USC fans don't even think that A&M want their coach. they think it's so bad that they won't even get it. But let's talk about the Arkansas job. You mentioned Jeff Lebby. Arkansas is open. Arkansas is available. You want to know another person that you can mention too for either Arkansas or even A&M? Texas fans, cover your ears. PK. Mm-hmm. Defensive-minded coach. Bring him in. Let him hire an OC. Make him CEO. Let the OC be CEO of the offense. Run it just like Saban and everybody else does. Just oversee it like a true CEO. But focus on defense. Hey, PK might be the one. That's a big enough name, especially what they're doing in Texas. That's possible. I have heard this exact same thing. I know people in Arkansas. I travel to Arkansas quite often for work. I've heard that Arkansas wants Lebby. Cool. Because remember, they had Kendall Browse as offensive coordinator. So they have a relationship with the Browse family. Lebby?
I'm going to say this out loud for everybody to hear. Dylan Gabriel on the heels of 8 touchdowns and just willing himself and just making it happen. Jeff Lebby running his offense with Jackson Arnold needs to be seen. I know nobody wants to hear that, but I just want to tap the brakes on it. I'm thinking it may not be the best situation for Lebby to get the bounce unless he takes a really good job. Last thing we want to see is him taking over a job and competing with recruits, because I don't want to do that. But I will say this is, Arkansas is going to be turning over all stones. They're okay with that piece right there. I mean, Lebby to Arkansas is a strong thing. Another thing is, if UCF, I don't think Gus Malzahn is having a year to where he's going to be able to get a price. But I do see that if Lane Kiffin moves, maybe Lebby goes to Ole Miss. And you got to kind of watch out on that one. I think that with Arkansas, they've gone the Wisconsin, Brett Bielema route. Now they've gone the Sam Pittman route. They might just go full offense at this point and say, let's see what we can do. The last time Arkansas was actually legitimately like really, really, really good. Big, tall Ryan Mallett at quarterback, 6'7", big, strong arm, good running game, good defense. So, I mean, we might start seeing some of these offensive coordinators or, semi down the line guys in the NFL start making their way down. Anybody in the Belichick tree, anybody on the Jets defensive staff, something like that. That would be an opportunity, but it's not done yet. I'd probably say that there's probably a good 8 other jobs that are going to come open, especially with conference realignment, because everybody's going to want to jump into this with a good plan. And I don't think Arnold leaves anywhere. Arnold is staying here no matter what happens with Lebby. I would say Arnold's staying here, and so is Kevin Sperry. I don't see either of those people leaving at all. It's too intertwined.
Yeah. Yeah, both of those I've heard strong rumors that they're very intertwined with the program, and truth, I don't think that's. I think you're 100% right that PK probably has no interest in being a head coach, but that would be interesting though, right? PK probably don't want to be a head coach. I could totally get it. I mean, that's how Venables was. Venables was big on if he was going to take a head coaching job, he wanted the right head coaching job. He didn't want to just take anyone just to say he could take it. And I could totally see PK being either similar in that capacity or saying, nah, I like being CEO of the defense and just focusing on one side of the ball. So people are like that. I appreciate those staff members because they're the ones that know that really grind it out in their jobs. So, yeah. I don't know if Monken's going to leave the Ravens. I don't think Shane Beamer's going to get that job. Shane Beamer's going to have to find him another job. He's going to probably lose his job in the next couple weeks. So, but Malzahn, I heard, is the Arkansas people is like the rumors around that. And Bill O'Brien ain't coming back to the college. I think after the Alabama experiment, he realized he did not want to do this ever again. And so he's going to be NFL, similar to Joe Brady. Joe Brady, everybody keeps talking about wanting to bring him in as offensive coordinator after his stint at LSU. People fail to realize Joe Brady hates recruiting. Yeah, and now that recruiting has gotten like 10 times harder than it used to be because they work all the time now. Ask Lincoln Riley. He already told y'all. He's just envious of the head coaches, NFL coaches, because they get off work and they're done. See, season's off season. All they're doing is studying film. They're just waiting for the general manager to get them players, and they go forward. So I don't see Bill O'Brien actually wanting to come back either because, that hasn't happened yet. I don't think that he's going to get a head coaching job nowhere, but I would like him to come to, Oklahoma. Hope he likes to cover wagons. But, Joey McGuire leave for Arkansas. Cool. That's an interesting one. Does that sound financially logical? I guess SEC money, but at the same time, does it make sense?
I would rather, if I'm Joey McGuire, I'd rather be at Arkansas than Texas Tech moving forward. But how do you? I mean, your agency's got to make some spinning happen at that point because there are a lot of eyes on Texas Tech at the beginning of the year. Now, they could go out and play out of their minds during contract negotiations and get him that job. But I mean, that they clung on to that game against Kansas, and Kansas being down to the freshman quarterback who hadn't played, they still almost came back and won. Texas Tech is a absolute bleep show. It is a dumpster fire right now. It does not look good. So if I were McGuire and I got that opportunity, I would be like, deuce, I'm out. But if somebody's coming after it, I mean, I just don't. I mean, he doesn't look very, very, very good right now. Kirby Moore.
That's a good one. Jeff Traylor to Arkansas. That will be a good one. If not Lebby, Jeff Traylor there. I can see Lebby going to UTSA. Actually, wouldn't be a bad job. So rumor has it, Eric, is that Swift didn't want it, but her hubby does. I think Kelsey wants to take that job. That's what we're hearing.
My boss was talking about the OU game, and she said, "Hey, there's 3 Chiefs here. I guess Taylor let everybody have the week off."
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely just didn't pay attention to it until it kind of hit me, and I was like, that was quality. So yeah.
Yeah, JMU's coach, he's not a big enough splash. I don't think Arkansas would snag him. But I can see him going. Maybe. I don't think James Madison's coach would go. What about
Aranda? Does Aranda have any shine to his name left at all?
No, Aranda's gonna have to take a defensive coordinator job somewhere. He will be jobless.
Seth Luttrell's, I mean, that's off of the staff right now. I mean, Seth Luttrell is a good.
Seth Luttrell as well as Matt Wells, 2 former head coaches. And that's 2 options. I don't think they get the jobs though right now. It's one of those things where once you get fired from your head coaching job, you usually got to go to a coordinating job to show that you still got it, and then you get the next opportunity. If you get fired from a coordinating job, you got to go somewhere else to become an analyst or a position coach, and you work your way back up. It's like you get knocked down, and you got to work your way back up, unless you're one of those coaches that's just, big enough names. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything about David Shaw. That's the one name that has shocked me the most out of all of these coaching searches. Still, he did do decent at Auburn. Not great, but decent.
Isn't he back? James Franklin? No, James Franklin's not going to leave Penn State to go to. I mean, he would. Yeah, no, I just don't.
I don't see it, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it's a no. I wouldn't call it a no because I wonder if he's realizing the limit that he has there at Penn State. I wonder if he's recognizing that there's no chance.
But there is more of a chance at Penn State than there is at Auburn, Arkansas, or A&M. And it's getting harder next year.
Yeah, as conferences are expanding. Yeah,
you gotta look at this. Is what's the number 1 team that Ohio State and Michigan are looking at that's coming into the Big Ten? It sure as hell ain't UCLA, and it sure as hell ain't USC.
Huh. Yeah.
So the Big Ten's not getting too intensely bigger. Plus, now we get to more of an NFL type of a schedule. You're not scared to lose a game anymore. Now you can really implement something and get better as a team. So you can actually lose a game early and just building block. So there's going to have to be. Lee Corso.
Well, and on the good thing for Penn State too is that with the new schedule that they're having in the Big Ten, they only play either Michigan or Ohio State. They don't play both in one season. Actually, in 2025, yeah, they play one of them. Yeah, they play it's like every other year they play Michigan and Ohio State. So if that's the only loss you have, which James Franklin does a really good job beat everybody but those two teams, there's a chance he'd go 11-1 there. And yeah, James Franklin did retire. I mean, David Shaw did retire, but that don't mean David Shaw won't come back if the check's right. Right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here, right? It's all about the money when it comes to going to like A&M. Arkansas ain't really about the money, but Arkansas's opportunity to be a springboard to go somewhere else. I don't think that Arkansas brings back Bobby Petrino, but at the same time, I'm curious to, I'm curious to what makes the most sense. But I think Jeff Traylor's probably the best one from UTSA to take that Arkansas job. Outside of, Levy, being that the entire Browse family has a relationship with them and everything. So that's an interesting conversation. Something to think about, something to ponder on, something to think about. And we'll let y'all think about it a little bit later. Coop, you got any last words before we wrap this bad boy up with a bow on it?
No, I mean, here's the thing. This team is getting better. Hopefully we'll get a chance to hear from somebody that's actually on the team and maybe a couple of them here in the next couple days. So I encourage you guys to stick around for Wednesday. We're getting close to Thanksgiving time, but man, this is exciting. I mean, once again, I said it macro wise. If you zoom out and take a look at what the season has been, we're going to be a top 40 defense. The defense has massive strides. It's tied to not just Danny Stutsman. Our defense was still good. And, our offense has been terrible at times and has been stagnant. So this was a great win. Guys, I encourage you to show up. If you can be there for the game, go for it. If not, join the crew on Twitter during the game. It's always fun. But man, this is exciting. I'm pretty excited to see 11A. We're used to this time frame for freaking BYU. It's going to be like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. They're going to be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready. So here we go.
Provo, Utah time right now. It's 8:23. So honestly, an hour back. They'll be there early. They'll be there Friday, chill, sleep, But it'll be an early game, which honestly, when I saw the weather, I appreciated it more because, it's a lot better. It's supposed to be like 50-something degrees, partly cloudy, and I don't think the rain hits until later in the day. And so if that's the case, it's supposed to be like really light. Oh, yeah. Way more comfortable. And, to go with that, McCullough's supposed to be back next week. I expect Vickers potentially to be back next week. It's going to be a good time going up there to them. So thank y'all for pulling up. Hit that like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, share. Why? Because sharing is caring. And if you're listening to the audio version, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You think we deserve it? Let's give us 5 anyway. And gifted. And with that, for Coop and myself, everybody, thank y'all for pulling up into the channel. We will chop it up with y'all. Few days. We'll have some guests. Bye.